Today we're looking at top 10 of the best Hondas for sale. Logan, we are not beating the allegations that all we do is commit Honda slander lately.
Yeah, it's definitely time we get back in the good graces of Honda owners around the world, and I think this video is a step in the right direction.
Right, so let's start off with the worst of the bunch. All right, number 12 on our list, we're getting two free for you today, is the Honda CBR1000R SP Fireblade.
Yikes.
I know, yeah, the flagship motorcycle we're ranking as the worst of the worst. But let's explain our methodology a little bit. We're looking at bikes based on their performance, their fun factor, usefulness, and overall value for money. And we, through a very scientific formula, discovered that the Fireblade SP is just not that great.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a CBR1000RR for pretty much half the price that does 95% of the same thing, it's kind of hard to justify spending 30 G's on a motorcycle.
Yeah, so the other thing you'll want to note here is that there's only 12 motorcycles on our list today. If your favorite bike does not make it on the list, it's not we hate it, it's not that we think it's irrelevant, it's just that we had to keep this to a manageable figure. If you go on Honda's website, they sell a lot of motorcycles. So number 12 on the list today is the venerable Fireblade. It's not very useful. First gear ends at like 95 miles an hour, and as Logan said, it costs like 30,000 bucks. So there's way better value for money and way more fun to be had further up on the list. All right, number 11 on Honda's rank today is the new NT1100 DCT. Logan, a dorkmobile if there ever was one.
Whoa. We're supposed to be nice in this video.
Oh, you're right. I did not mean to say that, folks. If you do own this motorcycle, it's, you know, a little bit sport touring. It's a little bit cop motorcycle. I think people actually use these as law enforcement vehicles.
Yeah, I think the NT1100 just became available for like pedestrian riders for the 2025 model year, I think, maybe 2024. And prior to that, it was all police officers in the United States. So it's very much, it's an Africa Twin without the stuff that makes the Africa Twin cool. Yeah. Very like, boomer coded, cop coded. Like it didn't crack the top 10, but it cracked the top 12. So it's it's by far from the worst motorcycle Honda makes, but definitely not in the top 10.
Yeah, and I will say, as we make it through today's list, you will notice that there are two venerable platforms that Honda makes that will not be on today's video because I have harped endlessly about how I do not like them. So we're not gonna do that. We will spare you guys for today. So as Logan said, 1100cc motor lifted from the Rebel, from the Africa Twins, got a good amount of torque, good amount of punch, nice motor. But at the same time, the DCT nature of it does draw down on the fun factor. No clutch, big, kind of heavy sport touring style motorcycle. But Logan, eminently useful. I think we rated this one a 9 out of 10 for usefulness.
Definitely, and the usefulness has a lot of weight in this in today's video. You know, you can definitely ride an NT1100 way more often than you can ride a Fireblade. It's gonna cost 10% of what it would cost to insure a Fireblade.
Easily.
You can go around town, get groceries, take your kid to soccer practice, do all sorts of stuff that you just can't do on a sport bike. So for that, it got the number 11 spot.
But speaking of sport bikes, let's look at the next one. All right, the next one, as alluded to earlier, is gonna be the CBR1000RR. Honestly, really good value for money on this. It's like $17,000, I think, right around?
Yeah, right around there. And it, like we discussed, makes, 90% of the power that the Fireblade makes. It doesn't have that flagship Fireblade moniker, the allure, but it's got some decently updated tech. It's got a good engine, and a lot of bang for your buck as far as leader bikes go.
Yeah, if you guys want, in the back catalog, Spite and I, way back in the day, actually tested the Fireblade and the CBR1000RR head-to-head with each other. So we actually have experience riding both these motorcycles in person, and they are weirdly similar. One is obviously much more street biased, but for the average rider, you really don't need 215 horsepower electronic suspension and 30 grand worth of motorcycle.
Well, you might not. I do.
Logan definitely does. Moving right along, in our number 9 spot is a very popular motorcycle. And Logan, this one actually, I looked back in the catalog of our reviews, and this one has, I think, over 1 million hits on this video. Yeah, I
mean, it's definitely becoming a more popular platform. Why don't you reveal it?
Let's reveal it, shall we? The Rebel 1100 finds its way as 9th on our list of best Hondas. This one, I kind of felt bad putting it this low because it is a bike that has achieved kind of a cult status among Honda people. Great motor, lots of fun, really peppy. Why did it end up a little lower on our list today?
I mean, for me, it doesn't totally have like the cruiser je ne sais quoi I like. It kind of lives in this interesting spot where it's maybe too cruiser oriented for a sport bike guy, but maybe a little too sporty for a traditional cruiser guy. I think it lands itself higher on the list, even in the top 10, because it is great value for money. If you want a cool looking bike with a fun motor, you know, good componentry all around, and it's like sub 10,000 bucks, it's kind of hard to beat that.
Yeah, I think the Rebel has to hit that market of a guy, like Logan said, wants a sporty cruiser, but doesn't want a Harley, like very much a new school cruiser rider. We had one of these as a giveaway bike about 4 years ago, and I was pleasantly surprised. It's lightweight, it's nimble, it's fun, and once you put an exhaust, that 1100cc motor does sound pretty wicked.
Yeah.
And it makes sense why Honda has cross-platformed them into so many of the bikes we're gonna see on today's list.
Yeah, that one, and then one other motor we'll find quite a few times on the list today.
All right, up next is a motorcycle that needs no introduction, and I was surprised this one didn't go further up, but we had to make the call based on the formula that we developed, which this one I would have put top 3, but I had to stick to the formula. It is the Goldwing 50th anniversary. Now, Logan, I think one of the reasons we put this further down is because once we started talking about it, we started realizing how kind of unilaterally purposeful the Goldwing is at doing long distance touring. You said something to the effect of like, if you're riding less than 100 miles, why would you even bring out the Goldwing?
Right, the amount of energy it's gonna take to get it out of the garage and onto the freeway is not worth doing less than at least 3 hours in the saddle.
Yeah, it is very singularly focused. And once you start thinking about some of the other bikes on the list, you're like, well, like, you know, unless you really are just like transcontinental crushing it, right? There really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to get a Goldwing, but it is legendary.
It is
really good.
And it is an important pivotal motorcycle in the aging rider life cycle.
Yes.
That it's impossible to leave out. It's impossible to have a conversation about the culture of motorcycling, especially in America, and not talk about the Goldwing. So a little strange it's not in the top 5, but definitely makes sense in the top 10.
Yeah, flat 6 motor, 50 years of pedigree. Again, aging men throughout the decades and generations have gravitated to the Goldwing. It is an incredible platform, but unfortunately, with its hefty price tag, kind of singular focus, and overall heft, the fun factor isn't quite there, and it is just a very focused machine. But if you're looking for touring, it's gotta be the #1 choice.
Yeah, and also people shopping for Goldwings don't watch YouTube, so.
They don't.
They read the New York Times.
They read the New York Times and they're looking at their 401ks.
Yep.
Moving on. All right, next up on the #7 slot is a bike that you guys tell me all the time how amazing it is, how I should ride one, how it just crushes everything else in the category. But it only found its way to 7th on our list. It is the Africa Twin. Logan, why did this one end up in the 7, kind of middle of the pack today?
Well, it's definitely a legendary motorcycle from Honda. It's been around since like the late 80s, obviously changed from V-twin engine to parallel twin engine, got lots of tech and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, the kind of flagship adventure bikes, no matter what manufacturer they're coming from, are kind of a price gouge. You know, manufacturers know that these older ADV riders will just pay what it costs to get one. So bearing that in mind with our equation here, the Africa Twin did kind of end up falling a little bit short just because it is a little bit more expensive for what you get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, base, we're talking $14,799. You can spec up an Africa Twin to close to 18 MSRP, and then that's a $20,000+ out the door. I mean, a buddy of mine actually is looking at picking one up, and he was like, I just can't justify it. You know, he just couldn't. Actually, funny enough, ended up with the 1980s Transalp, which is, you know, totally, I did not expect that. But if you're watching, very strange choice, Brandon, for you. But yeah, Africa Twin ends up 7th on the list today. A great motorcycle, a little bit too expensive for what you're getting, but a lot of people tell us it's the best of the best. We think that there are some superior choices in Honda's lineup based on usefulness, fun factor, and overall value for money.
All right, moving on to #6, CB650R E-Clutch.
So this one, I was kind of surprised. It ended up in 6th, but it's a great bike, you know?
Yeah.
It looks cool, it sounds cool. The E-Clutch makes it more appealing to a lot of different riders. It's a pretty good price point, talking less than 10,000 bucks for an inline 4. I mean, it's a cool bike.
Yeah, and it definitely has some novelty, some allure that, you know, inline 4 engine compared to other kind of middleweight naked bikes does make it unique. Obviously the E-Clutch then takes that up to another level of uniqueness, that proprietary tech. And yeah, they're cool, they're good value for money, and they're pretty affordable to buy. Like you said, inline 4s typically, again, get hit with the price gouge because those inline 4 devotees will pay what it costs.
Absolutely, and they will not be silenced. Don't silence the scream, Logan. Don't silence it.
And yeah, the CB650R is keeping that scream alive in our hearts.
Absolutely, and it of course can be put a little bit of luggage on it. We chose the naked variant of this platform simply because it has a little bit more leverage from the handlebars, a little bit more fun to ride. I personally think it looks a lot better than the fully fared model. The Neo Retro Cafe, I think is what they call it. You know, the single round headlight, the bronze. It's a really good looking bike. It, to me, looks much more premium than the price would suggest. And it's fun. It's an inline four. It's a classic formula that has worked for 30, 40, I guess 50 years, going back to the CB750. So you can't go wrong with the CB650R. Beautiful motorcycle, really cool. But I think the next one is going to surprise people that it ended up as high as it did.
Certainly. All right, up next in the number 5 position, we have a little bit of a sleeper cell on the list today, if you will. The NX500.
Yeah, leave us your comments down below that we have listed an NX500 above a Goldwing, Africa Twin, and the Fireblade SP. Logan, that might be the spiciest choice on the video today.
It's a little bit spicy, but our equation here, literally we broke it down, had an Excel sheet, used a formula to come up with the list today. And it's got me empathizing with like multi-millionaire business owners that like let people pee in bottles while they're working. Because like when you just look at the numbers, you can have no emotional attachment to this. Like if you emotionally attach, like if you ask me as a person, would I ever put the NX500 in a top 10 Honda video? I would say never. The same way I would never ask an employee to use the bathroom in a water bottle to save labor costs. But when the numbers tell you that that's the best way to do it, and you just start trusting the numbers, it's easy to kind of lose your way a little bit.
Now, to give you guys a peek behind the curtain a little bit, we did have our list based on just the numbers, but some of the choices, because we're not sociopathic multimillionaire business owners who make people pee in bottles, they did feel a little out of touch. And this bike was actually much further up. And I said, Logan, I can't do it. We looked at some of the top choices and I was like, we gotta bring it back down. I cannot in good conscience put the NX500 that high, but I will tell you guys this. I have harped endlessly about Honda's 500 platform, how I think it's overvalued. It's not very fun. It's not very interesting. However, in the NX500, and I've been saying this for a while because this motorcycle was rebranded as the NX. It used to be
CB500X.
The CB500X. Thank you for that. Caught me right there. This bike works so good in this configuration. It's similar to that adventurous, versatile motorcycle. The price point's awesome for what you're getting. It's a bike that it feels a little bit more grown up, has some luggage, can be good for entry-level, intermediate riders, like second bike in the stable, commuter bike. It's just a solid, reliable, good machine.
Yeah, and like I said, usefulness was an important factor in our decisions here. And yeah, would you rather take a CB500X around the corner to grab a sandwich or a 700, 800 pound Goldwing?
Exactly. So. Yeah, you can jump on this thing, whip it around, go knock out some errands with it, take it for a weekend ride. It's a very useful, versatile bike at a pretty good price point. So absolutely. It sits at 5th in our list. Imagine that.
Now we're getting into the spicy territory, the real good stuff. In the number 4 position, we have the CB1000 Hornet SP. I think now people are they're like, okay, I understand what you guys are doing.
Yeah, they're like, you're not complete yahoos putting Goldwings on the 8th slot. When we started putting this together, I knew that the Hornets were gonna make it further up. Yeah. These are just knockout bikes. You went out to California, you tested this bike, it's hard to argue with it.
Yeah, I mean, the Hornet platform in general is like the most exciting thing Honda's done in the last like 5 years, I think. It's clearly indicative of an understanding of a new generation of riders, a new value proposition. It might not be the most fire-breathing machines, but for sub $11,000, the CB1000 Hornet SP is like kind of a no-brainer.
It's crazy value for money. I mean, if you flash it, you're getting 150 horsepower, you get all the tech, you get the TFT, you get the quick shifter, inline 4 sound. It basically does what the CB650R does, but just ratchets it up a lot more. I mean, it makes like 60 more horsepower than this bike and costs $1,000 more, I think. Like that is
$1,500.
That is unbelievable, right? Like the inner squid in me is like, that just get that bike and call it a day. It looks great. In the SP variant, you get an Olin suspension. Out back, you get a shock. I don't think you get an Olin's fork, right? It's just an Olin shock.
Showa fork.
Yeah, Showa fork, Olin shock. So you can dial in the rear end, make it really nice and supple. I bet you it'd be fine around a track day. I'd love to test one at a track. That'd be a lot of fun. And putting a full pipe on it probably like just sings and sounds gnarly. So yeah, CB1000 Hornet, I think it's a knockout hit. They did a great job. Anything else to say about this bike? I mean, it's just a great bike.
It's a great bike. Like you said, it's a no-brainer. Between looks, performance, price, no-brainer.
But there's 3 bikes ahead of it, Logan. Podium places. Let's get into it.
In the bronze position, we have CRF300L Rally.
If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know this is one of my top picks. I love this motorcycle. I think it's really cool. You can do a lot with it, but I have to admit that it's not as useful as I thought. If you really start to think about it, you're like, this is a single cylinder, like kind of vibrational bike. Yes, it can go off-road. Yes, it can go on-road. It looks a little weird, and you know, ultimately it's a bit of a Herculean task if you wanted to like actually do like a big weekend ride with it. So it did end up falling a couple places down. Yeah,
usefulness and performance, I guess, are kind of working against it. Obviously, it's not a street monster by any stretch of the imagination, and it's going to be a little challenge off-road if you should progress in your skills and want to do more enduro stuff or single track stuff. And it'd probably be a bit limited in touring. With that single cylinder, you're probably topping out at like 85, 90 miles an hour, especially if you got it loaded up with some luggage. But that being said, it's a cool bike. It's a fun bike in the entry-level position. Entry-level category, it's really hard to beat. And yeah, pretty good price point, like $6,500 for the Rally trim, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's just like, there's a lovable quality about this motorcycle. Like the single cylinder in it, it's simple, it's easy to work on, easy to live with. Service intervals are like, I haven't looked into it, but I guarantee you it's like 20,000 miles for valves. Like you never have to do anything to this bike. You just turn it on, have fun with it, grip it and rip it, and just have a great time. And so if you don't know what kind of riding you want to get into, the CRF300L Rally is a great choice. Again, you gotta live with some weird looks. It is a bit of a strange motorcycle.
It has the same eyes as the delivery robots, the food delivery.
Absolutely, yeah. You pointed that out earlier, and I was like, now I can't unsee it. But now let's get into the penultimate Honda. Logan, we're getting down to the wire here, and people are probably figuring out what number 1 and number 2 is. So why don't you show us?
Ripping off the Band-Aid, number 2, we've got the Honda Transalp. Pride Month ended yesterday, and we still have a trans motorcycle in number 2. So that's how you know how good it is.
Guys, they made the frogs gay, and then they made the Alps trans. Can you believe it? It's unbelievable what's going on. These Zoomers are out of control. Transalp is a fantastic motorcycle. I had to put up fisticuffs and fight you to not put that motorcycle in the first place slot. Logan started this video and he was like, the Transalp's the greatest motorcycle ever made and conceived. And I said, we have to put it second place.
I'm always underselling the Transalp because I don't want to come across biased, right?
Yeah,
like, so I'm always like, I don't know, should it be in like number 6, number 5? But I think number 2 is a worthy spot, you know, when it, especially when you look at Honda's other categories, like their larger touring things like the Africa Twin, or their smaller touring things, or like sport touring, whatever, like the NX500. The Transalp splits the difference in like the perfect way. It's the perfect size, perfect weight, perfect amount of power, perfect price to do a little bit of everything, right? Like light off-roading, touring, commuting, just regular daily use, sub 10,000 bucks. It's hard to beat for sure.
The biggest praise I can give this motorcycle is the fact that you are a person who prides yourself on value for money, and you spend nearly every waking moment thinking about motorcycles, right? You have spent years writing about bikes and lists and coming up with stuff on this channel. You have a wealth and plethora of knowledge. That is the bike you chose.
Yeah,
I think that speaks volumes.
And I remember the moment I made the decision. It was when it was first announced that it was coming to the United States. And yeah, we were doing some write-up about it for a video. And I was like, this is literally like the perfect package.
Yeah.
Under the $10,000 price break, 85 horsepower, all the tech. Literally, there's nothing else that could be better unless I had cruise control. But
yeah, and tubeless wheel and tire combo.
Oh yeah, that too.
And if the air filter was a little easier to clean. But all that being said, it's a really good bike at a great price point, and given our ultimate calculations here, it made its way into second place. So Logan, what could number 1 possibly be? It's a Honda Grom, isn't it?
It's not a Honda Grom.
Oh,
CB750 Hornet.
Oh man. You know, it's kind of feeling like this is one of those bikes now. I bet this is how people felt when the MT-07 was kind of around, where it's like every single list, every single thing, it's like, this is the best bike, just get it, whatever. But I mean, it really is the best thing. The price is unbelievable. It's under $8,000 for this bike. It makes 85 horsepower. It's the same motor as the Transalp. It has an up and down quick shifter. It handles great. What does this bike not do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I spent like 8 hours on it out in the Sierra Nevadas, and I had 0 complaints. We got back to the hotel. Everybody that was on the 1000s all day was like, "Oh, my back, my butt," all this like
because they're
complaining and
geezers.
stuff.
They're not 22 like you.
And I was like, "Oh wait, we're done now? I could do another 8."
Yeah.
It's just super easy to get along with, really fun, really confidence inspiring, very youthful feeling. And I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't just sweep the category for other manufacturers, but even cannibalize a lot of bikes in Honda's own lineup.
Yeah.
Thinking, the NX500, it's like less than $1,000 more to buy the Hornet 750.
Yeah.
The CB500, CB500R. You know, it's a sweet bike, ton of fun, great value.
It's hard to think about the fact that the CB750 Hornet is just a few $100 more than some of the 500 offerings that Honda has.
Yeah,
like CBR500R is in the 7,000-ish price bracket, and the CB750 Hornet is under 8. So it's like, I don't see how you could ever make the case for a 500 if a 750 exists.
Yeah.
And to your point, in terms of usefulness, it's not as useful as an NT1100 or an X500, but it is so much more fun and interesting to ride. We ranked it very high on the fun factor. And I haven't ridden it yet, but I trust you at your word that it is a super fun motorcycle.
Yeah, it's super fun, really nimble. They did a bunch of work to like the frame, the suspension, the geometry. Like it said, the frame's more rigid than the CB650s, so they say. And yeah, it was a ton of fun to ride.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty irrefutable that it has to be the best bike that Honda currently sells today. So folks, that's our ranking for the top 10 or 12 Hondas for sale today. We started off with the big dog Fireblade, ended up the CB750 Hornet. What do you guys think? Are we wrong? Are we totally off base here? Would you put the Goldwing first? Do you think we're insane for putting the NX500 in 5th? Let us know in the comments down below. We always appreciate you watching the videos. Logan, any final concluding words?
Give us your worst Honda owners.
Yeah, give us your worst Honda owners. Come on, tell us we're biased again, even though one of us literally owns a Honda. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. See you later. Oh, you should watch this video right here. If you're still on the video, just right here. Yeah, you thought an end card was gonna pop up, huh? Nope, we stopped doing that.
I didn't even know.
You caught him off guard. Go right here. Honda slander might continue on this one.